The scream that came from the old cottage that morning didn't sound human. It sounded like pure pain. When Daniel ran inside, he saw his disabled mother shaking, tears pouring down her face, and next to her stood his wife, Claire, holding a hot iron that was still steaming. Everyone thought it was a terrible accident. Everyone believed Claire's innocent smile. But weeks later, a tiny forgotten camera revealed a truth so disturbing, so heartbreaking that it shocked an entire English village, and the ending made millions cry. Daniel Reed lived in a quiet village outside Manchester, known for its stone houses and peaceful mornings. After losing his father young, Daniel had grown up taking care of his mother, Margaret, who became partially paralyzed after a stroke. She couldn't walk on her own and needed constant assistance. When Daniel married Claire, a stylish, ambitious woman from London, he believed he'd finally found happiness again. Everyone adored Claire's confidence, her charm, and the way she said she wanted to help care for Margaret like her own mother. But no one knew what happened behind closed doors. Margaret, unable to move freely or speak clearly, tried her best to warn Daniel with her eyes that seemed to say, "She's not who you think." But Daniel dismissed it as paranoia, caused by her condition. Claire claimed she was overwhelmed. Claire claimed she was stressed. Claire claimed she needed patience. Daniel, blinded by love, believed every word. Little did he know, the cracks in their perfect English home were just beginning to show. It was a cold Tuesday morning when Daniel rushed to work early, leaving Claire to iron his shirts and prepare Margaret's breakfast. The house was unusually quiet. Claire entered Margaret's room with the iron still plugged in, steam rising from it. Margaret sat by the window in her wheelchair, staring into the garden. "You think you can make him hate me?" Claire hissed under her breath, words sharp like broken glass. "But he chose me, not you." Margaret tried to lift her trembling hand, trying to warn her, trying to plead. Claire stepped closer. In a terrifying moment of anger, she pushed the hot iron against Margaret's forearm. The scream that followed was unlike anything Claire expected. It shook her. She backed away, panicked, realizing what she'd done. When Daniel returned after hearing the cries from outside, Claire pretended to faint, dropping the iron and claiming Margaret accidentally grabbed it. Daniel believed her. He never imagined his wife capable of such cruelty, but the burn mark told a story Margaret could not speak. In the following days, something changed, not in Claire but in Margaret. She began tapping on surfaces repeatedly whenever Daniel entered the room. She tried to write shaky letters. She pointed to the iron with terrified eyes. Daniel grew confused. "Is she trying to blame you again?" he asked Claire one night. "Oh, Daniel, she's confused. She needs stability," Claire whispered sweetly, hugging him tightly. But behind Daniel's back, her smile twisted into something cold. Soon, neighbors visiting the house began noticing bruises that Claire brushed off as accidents. But the biggest clue came from a small wireless nanny camera Daniel had installed months ago to monitor his mother's care. He had completely forgotten about IT until one morning, while adjusting the Wi-Fi, he saw unwatched clips. His hand shook as he clicked them. What he saw made his entire body go numb. Claire yelling, Claire mocking, Claire threatening, and finally Margaret with the iron while covering the bedroom door with a towel to muffle the screams. Daniel's heart shattered. Daniel waited for Claire to return home that evening. His mother sat beside him, holding his hand tightly with what little strength she had. When Claire walked into the living room, smiling casually, Daniel stood up. "Claire, I saw the footage." Her smile froze. I can explain," Claire stuttered. "No, you can't," he said, voice trembling with rage and heartbreak. Margaret's eyes filled with tears as Daniel placed a protective arm around her. Claire dropped to her knees, suddenly begging, "I didn't mean it. I was stressed. I didn't know what I was doing. You hurt the woman who gave me life. The woman who trusted you." Daniel's voice cracked. The neighbors, hearing the shouting, watched as Daniel escorted Claire outside and called the authorities. For the first time in years, Margaret felt safe. But the real twist was still to come. He believed about his wife was a lie. Spring arrived slowly in the quiet English village, bringing soft sunshine that warmed the stone cottages and gardens. But inside Daniel's home, the atmosphere was still heavy with the memories of what had happened. Claire was gone, facing the consequences of her cruelty, and Daniel spent his days focused entirely on helping his mother heal, emotionally and physically. Margaret had always been a strong woman, but the trauma had left deep scars. Some nights, she cried silently, gripping Daniel's hand with the little strength she had. And each time, Daniel whispered, "I'm here, Mom. You're safe now. I promise." He felt guilt for not seeing the truth sooner, guilt for trusting the wrong person, guilt for every bruise he hadn't questioned. But he turned that guilt into love, spending hours reading to her, feeding her gently, playing her favorite English countryside songs from her younger days. And then, it happened. One morning, as the window filled with golden sunlight, Margaret tapped Daniel's wrist, a sign she wanted to say something. Her lips trembled, her throat strained. And then, with a fragile breath, she whispered, "Thank you." Daniel froze. Tears immediately spilled down his cheeks. She had not spoken a clear sentence in nearly 2 years. Her voice was weak, but the meaning behind it was powerful enough to break anyone's heart. He hugged her carefully, crying into her shoulder. For the first time since the nightmare began, he felt hope, real hope. Doctors later explained that Margaret's speech returning was not magic but the result of safety, emotional peace, and Daniel's constant care. Love, not medicine, had brought her voice back. When Daniel shared their journey online to raise awareness about elder abuse, millions watched, millions cried, and millions were moved when Margaret said, in a trembling voice, "Love saved me." It wasn't just the ending of their pain, it was the beginning of their healing.